What's up, fam? Mainman Mademan here. Y'all know how I get down. We talking boxing, man. Word on the curb is that Terence Crawford's contract may be coming to an end with his promoter in Top Rank Boxing. According to Terence Crawford on the Brian Custer podcast, he just only have a few months left on his contract, which means that this fight with Kell Brook perhaps may be the last fight for Top Rank that Terence Crawford will be obligated for. Music to boxing fans is, because the question is really going to emerge is, do you want Terence Crawford to leave Top Rank and maybe head on over to, say, I don't know, PBC? You damn right. You know, that's exactly what we want Terence Crawford to do. And I'm sure even if Terence Crawford fans, you ask them this will come out as the number one answer. Fights with Errol Spence Jr., Danny Garcia, Shawn Porter, and anyone else that's really at prominence at welterweight will all be possible with no political crap. Of course, we want Terence Crawford to maybe consider that type of offer. Now, according to Bob Arum, he is saying that Terence Crawford is already requesting that he's going to want more money out of his deal with Top Rank. And so you got Bob Arum floating around the names of Manny Pacquiao and Errol Spence Jr. He says that he will make it happen. I mean, he is guaranteed to make it happen. Man, Bob is lying his ass off for sometime early next year. Sounds good, you know what I'm saying? Bob Arum then had a very, very long time to make fights like that happen for Terence Crawford. And unfortunately, it has not come to fruition. And Terence Crawford has been down with Bob Arum since 2011. So just FYI, Crawford better watch his ass against Kell Brook. They might try to rob him, I'm just saying. Made him an undisputed champion. Yep, he's brought him through many different divisions. Yes, he also put Terence Crawford on the biggest sporting platform in the world, in ESPN. However, that still has fell short to give boxing fans what they perceive as good opposition for Terence Crawford. This is your time, bud. This is your time to go and be great. This is the time. Don't let us down. Boxing fans, they want to see Terence Crawford fight the likes of a Errol Spence, or say a Manny Pacquiao, who is now rocking on the PBC side of the tracks, or a Shawn Porter, who's #1 in the WBO today. And if he was over at PBC, fight would happen with no ifs, ands, or buts. Or when Danny Garcia was #1, fight would have happened, no ifs, ands, or buts. You see what I'm saying? It just lines up things great for Terence Crawford while he's still at welterweight. Not to mention, Terence Crawford is 33 years of age, so he's getting up there in age, man. And he's going to want the big fights on the twilight years of his career, or the second half of his career. The big name fights that can all go happen on pay-per-view, and you see those guys over there, they're already starting to fight on pay-per-view. So, you know, shit, I mean, that'll all work great for Terence Crawford in the end of his career. Out of this is, I think, going to also depend on how Bob Arum approaches the trainer and manager of Terence Crawford and Brian McIntyre. We believe that the reason that Terence Crawford even extended his current contract, because it was supposed to end it this year, but it got extended to 2021 right before the Jose Benavidez fight. And the way that was able to go down like that is that Bomac was promising things on the side. So who knows? Maybe Bob Arum tries that same tactic of going back through Bomac and maybe promising him some things, and maybe Bomac can then in turn bring Terence Crawford on board. But Terence Crawford wants big fights. And he wants big legacy-defining fights. Now, Terence Crawford is already firmly in his thought that I don't need those dudes to be who I am. Bob Arum has no idea on what to do with Terence Crawford. He has no idea whatsoever. Give it up, man. We've seen it all before. I don't need those dudes to make the Hall of Fame. I don't need Errol Spence Jr. is what he says. A lot of us boxing fans would disagree with that, but at the end of the day, that's how he feels. You want him to go after the PBC fighters. If the opportunity presents itself, he got to do what he got to do. Been with Bob Arum since 2011. He's given Bob Arum, all that he can give him, and probably Bob Arum may have done the same in return. But at the end of the day, this is probably as good as it gets. If he re-signs with Top Rank and ESPN, we're going to be stuck wondering who the hell is Terence Crawford going to fight. Either the winner of a Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez, the 140-pounders that are coming up. Oh, I mean, who else we talking about beyond that? I don't know. It's a roll of the dice, you know? And so this is one of the reasons. It gives Terence Crawford's career a hell of a lot more clarity if he was to go over there, and it is what it is. Now, a lot of fans going to jump out there and be like, oh, well, Mainman, if he don't take this deal, that means he ducking. That don't mean that he ducking. That don't mean that he ducking at all. I mean, economics is economics. You offer me a fat check, a big amount of money to stay over here, I'm staying over here. It's not like Terence Crawford didn't have a reason to be over there in the first place. He had a $3.5 million guarantee, better than any guarantee that any PBC fighter was getting. He may not have been on pay-per-view like that, but he still was on the biggest platform in the world, getting millions of views every time he fights. And on top of that, being paid very well for it. You know what I mean? So he was in a good situation, and I think that he stayed there mainly because economically it made sense. Now, also, if he was to go to PBC, is it a guarantee that they won't fight him? Hell no, there ain't no guarantee they ain't gonna fight him. Look how long it took for these dudes to finally start mixing it up. So absolutely not. You know what I mean? That doesn't guarantee anything. It makes things easier. They will be like without not one single excuse to use. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's not guaranteed. They may see him as a threat and say, hey, we don't want Terence Crawford ruining the little bit that we've been building up over here. Who knows? You know what I mean? But it's still a chance that I'm willing to see Terence Crawford take. I'm sorry, bro. I mean, we've been seeing him on the top rank side, and we've been getting nothing. The best we got is Jeff Horn at welterweight. So I know PBC can do better than that, man. Boxing fan, I totally want to see Terence Crawford head on over to the PBC and see what they can make happen for him, man. Terence Crawford, man, make it happen, bro. I think it works, man. It makes perfect sense. And this is the reason why possibly Errol Spence Jr. is running around saying, hey, man, if we don't make this happen in 2021, then it ain't going to happen. He's probably saying it because he knows you got a major opportunity here, bro, to make it happen. Let's see if you join me on my side of the street. To the next video, man. Peace out.